We're in Lake City, Minnesota, and what you're looking at is row upon row of hybrid hazelnuts. These are crosses between the American hazelnut, which grows native all over the place in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and the European hazelnut. Now this is really cool stuff. Each one of these plants is genetically unique. The same thing, plantings like this all over Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa. It's kind of a challenge if you're trying to grow hazelnuts commercially because they're all different, but it's a great opportunity for us to go through these plantings and try to find the really nice hazelnut plants. As you're going to see in this video, some of these hazelnuts haven't produced a nut their whole life. Others are just loaded with large nuts every single year, almost laying on the ground. Our job as hazelnut growers, if we're going to build the industry, is to find those really nice plants, propagate them, evaluate them, and potentially turn them into cultivars. That's what this video is all about. Hi, I'm Jason Fischbach, the Agriculture Agent with UW Extension in Ashland and Bayfield County, and I coordinate the Hazelnut Improvement Program. Now this program is all about helping growers of hybrid hazelnuts find the best and highest performing plants in their plantings, so we can propagate them and evaluate them at other locations across the state. The ultimate goal is to find some really nice hazelnut plants that can serve as the foundation for a hazelnut industry. As we've talked about before, all of these plants on the landscape right now are genetically unique, which is a great opportunity for us to find locally adapted cultivars. But to get to that point, it's going to take a lot of work, and we really need growers to help collect data on the plant so we can find the best performing plants. To give you some sense of the diversity within a hazelnut planting, I'm just going to walk down a single row. And you can see all of these shrubs, which are basically the same age, all look quite a bit different. Now, some of the variability is due to environmental differences. Soil type might be a little bit different, weed control, pest pressures, whatever. But the big thing is all of these are genetically unique plants. We see diversity not only in the plant vigor and the plant size, but we also see huge diversity in the nuts and the nut clusters. Now those of us that are growing hazelnuts now, and we've got all this diversity in our plantings, one of the most important things we should be growing is not so much nuts or nut clusters, but we should be growing data. Our job this generation is to find hazelnut plants and to develop hazelnut plants that allow for development of a commercial and vibrant industry. If we're going to expand the amount of hazelnut production, we need to find better plants. So participating in the Hazelnut Improvement Program as a hazelnut grower is probably one of the most important things you can do to help the industry and to help hazelnuts continue to thrive and prosper here in the upper Midwest.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Pursuer. I'm the research assistant working with hazelnuts here in Wisconsin. How many hazelnuts you choose to monitor as part of the Hazelnut Improvement Program is up to you and how much time you have. In a young planting like this, you might choose to collect height and width data on only the most vigorous plants or the first ones to produce nuts. In an older planting like this, no one has enough time to collect all the data on all their plants, so you'll have to choose which ones you decide to monitor. Since you can't collect data on all your plants, you'll have to decide which ones you choose to monitor for the program. What farmers have gone to is a flagging system, where once a year they'll walk through their planting and attach a flag to the branch of a plant that looks good to them for whatever reason: large nut size, total nut yield, or general vigor. What we recommend is a modified flagging system using colored flags to denote different attributes of your plant. For example, you might attach a blue flag to a plant with large nuts, a red flag to a plant with high overall nut yield, or a pink flag to a plant with good general vigor. So you can use this flagging system to prioritize which plants you collect data from. Ideally, we'd like you to collect 3 years or more of data for your flagged plants.
Measuring the height and width of your plant is an easy way to measure the overall vigor of the plant, especially if you record the plant in height over a number of years. It's really very simple to do. Using a meter stick or a ruler, you're going to measure the plant at its highest point, from the ground to its highest point, and you're going to do this once a year. Ideally, you'd like to do this at the same time every year, maybe when you harvest the plants or sometime in July. And you're going to measure the width at its widest point. One of the most important things that we need you to measure is nut yield. And there's only one way to do it. You've got to strip all of the nuts off the shrub and weigh them. So a shrub that's this big, it's going to take you some time. But again, you're only going to do this on the best plants in your planting. You're not going to do this on every plant unless you have just a couple of plants. So it's not that difficult. You basically just pull these branches, strip the nut clusters off, and put them in a 5-gallon bucket or a bag. You can rig something up that you wear over your shoulders and stuff them into a sack. So you just strip off all the nuts, put them in some containers, and then you can just set them aside. Nice work, you've harvested all the nuts off of a shrub and you've got them in a bag. I like to again use these mesh bags. This is an old onion bag. The next step is, after you've got them harvested, is you need to dry them down. A couple ways to do it. You can just leave them in a bag and hang them in a dry location. It'll take a month or so to dry down. Or you can dump them all out onto some sort of a table, spread them out and let them dry down. And what you're looking for is to get these husks nice and dry and crispy so that the nuts are rattling around inside. Then what you do is you take these nuts, put them back in a bag, and I found the easiest way to husk them is just to bang them on the ground a bunch of times until all the nuts have come out of the husks. Then separate the husks from the nuts and weigh the fresh weight of the nuts. Now the key here with this step is to try to keep the mice and the chipmunks and other rodents from eating them. So you're going to have to put them while they're drying into a rodent-free place. By cluster size, we mean total nuts per cluster, and observations tell us that some plants produce larger clusters than others. So as you're harvesting your nuts, we want you to count the number of nuts in the largest clusters. One of the biggest threats to hazelnuts in the upper Midwest is going to be a fungal disease, eastern filbert blight. So it's important that any commercial cultivars that we end up developing through the Hazelnut Improvement Program be resistant or tolerant to eastern filbert blight. To get at that, what we'd like growers to do is anytime they are measuring data on a plant, indicate whether or not, and you'll see this on the Hazelnut Improvement Program data collection form, whether or not there are dead stems, something like this. That's all you have to indicate, is if you have any dead stems. Now what we're really after is what caused the dead stem, and eastern filbert blight is one of many different causes. When you're looking for eastern filbert blight, you'll be looking for the black fruiting bodies breaking through the bark, as you see here.